The Gateway Podcast. All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the 24th episode of the Gateway Podcast, and it's the third English podcast here so far. So for those who don't know, the Gateway Podcast is a one-on-one podcast where we get to learn more about the members of the StarCraft community. So I've prepared a couple of questions that will give us a little insight on our guest's journey with StarCraft. But like all podcasts, we are free to wander wherever the conversation leads us. So as always, I'm your host, Necro, and today I have with me a member of the online StarCraft community who've been working together over the past week to stream and showcase every single match from a tournament that he hosted and produced and streamed and funded and all that jazz, called the Miserable Cup, which segues beautifully into the introduction of his name here. It is Misery. How's it going, my dude?
It's going well. It's been a wild week. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, this week has been so... Well, it's been something, for sure, because, like, right, how long were the groups each day? They were, like, I guess 5 hours, and then the last day was around 8 to 9 hours, I think.
I think most of the group stages were done after about 3.5 hours. I think it was a little bit longer with the second day because we had a very long TVT series in the middle of everything. But then the last day was just under 9 hours. It's like 8 hours and 40 minutes or
Yeah.
so. And I mean, that's it. That is including breaks and some time where we were kind of missing players and had to get everyone organized together. But
Yeah.
yeah, long week of StarCraft, but lots of really good games.
Oh, for sure. I actually thought it was gonna be like something like 11 hours, and then game three. Game three of like Rob versus Jason happened. And that ended in 1 minute, literally. So yeah, and there was a lot of. It was weird because I feel like it was a lot closer in like the round of 8, and then round of 4 happened, and it was like 4-1 and 4-0, and I was like, what the hell? What is this finals even gonna look like?
Yeah,
During the whole tournament, I just felt like Nina just kept getting stronger and stronger. It was like pretty scary to watch, actually.
Yeah, it seemed like kind of the stars aligned for her almost after she defeated Disc. So in the quarterfinals with her, Disc actually showed some very good games and came very close to beating her, it felt like. And then she had to face Rob, who took a game off of her, but didn't look too great in the other games. He was trying to play very aggressively, and Nina just played very well defensively. And I think that was kind of the theme with her play throughout the whole tournament was that other players were trying to play more aggressively against her. I think that's what players who don't think they can keep up will try to do more often. They'll try to, end the game a little bit quicker, but
Mm-hmm.
Nino just shows some excellent defense and going all the way to the end with Silky and
Yeah.
Silky just showing some pretty aggressive play in the last couple of games. I think he was running out of time because he had Father's Day reservations,
Mm-hmm.
but still
Yeah.
took a game off her with a 12 pool drone pull. That was something else.
Yeah, I actually have never seen that one versus Protoss before, but I don't know how she spotted it, but like the only way to beat that is to fully wall off with pylons, right? Because like if you just have a zealot, which you normally have, versus the lynx, then you can just drone drill through, right? And that's a completely different cheese right there. So her reaction was really good. And actually, I popped into her stream right before the last game, and I think someone in her chat legit went, what if you see that, and instead of going gateway cyber, you go gateway forge cyber as the wall? And I think she went like, huh, that's not a bad idea. And then I think she did that last game, and it totally worked. It was like, holy shit, Twitch Shep GM is actually a real thing. I don't know.
Twitch just coming through in the clutch there.
Oh
Yeah,
hell yeah.
we saw in that last game with the Baneling bust, and yeah, just got stomped by that
Mm-hmm.
wall. Like, yeah, she had everything she needed and more for that.
This is pretty solid. Is there any games that like? Do you have any favorite games from the tournament?
Yeah, two in particular really caught my eye. So in the group stage, I think it was the second day of group stages, Vindicta and Epic
Mm-hmm.
played an unbelievable TVT on my favorite map, Golden Wall.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably one of the best Terran versus Terran matches I've seen in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
outside of some of the GSL matches that were going. But
Yeah.
it was just really cool back and forth. You had one player taking bases and losing his main. I think it was Epic lost his main at one point and was just kind of trying to expand all over the top side of the
Yeah.
map, and then Vindicta on the bottom side doing almost the same, but not really losing his main, but still just a really chaotic match. And then uh, the other one I wanted to see, or the other one that was really cool, was Dolan versus NYK. It was a base trade with NYK coming out ahead with Mutiling
Mm-hmm.
Baneling versus Giant Mech Army.
Yeah.
and he was able to just pick off the last couple of buildings there, even though he had an army that just was not going to stand up to Dolan's mech army, but just having that really great cognizance and being aware, like, hey, I can't take a straight up fight, but if I can kill every building, that's still a W, and he ended
Mm.
up getting that.
Well, I assume he was able to identify that situation quite easily because I actually know NYK's playstyle like quite well. He's a very big fan of the counterattack, right? So if ever he's in a situation like he it's there's two things that goes through his mind. It's like, do I send a small counterattack? What will be optimal? A small counterattack or just everything counterattacking? So like just that mentality, right? So from that situation, he gets like, okay, well, if I go into a base from here with this many mutas, then all of a sudden, that Terran advantage just kind of disappears at that point. And so he was able to do that, and he probably has way more games under his belt where he just base trades Terrans than actually Terrans base trades Zerg at that point, especially with mech. It's actually, it's really hard to base trade a Bio Terran, but to base trade a mech Terran, I feel like it's a lot more doable. I've actually lost a lot of base trades versus Zerg whenever I went mech. Pretty tricky thing to do. But yeah, those two games were really fantastic. My two favorite games, they were actually Protoss versus Protoss, right? I think Disc versus Nina on Golden Wall was an absolute banger of a game.
Oh yeah.
And like Disc actually had the better disruptor control, but he always had less disruptors.
Right.
And he didn't really keep up with his economy as much as a Nina. She was like just better on the macro in general, but I was so excited to see that style because like Neeb was so good at that, and it's like, if this is the style we're going back to, then holy shit, sign me up for some more Neeb games. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Nina was really good with that style, and you know what? Like you said, Disc was doing really well with it as well. But there was one point in that game actually, which it was like the TSN turning point. I make that reference a lot to have a joke talking about the sports network. They always talk about that with sports, but what happened was Nina kind of caught Disc's whole army in between two sets of disruptors, and Nina shot two shots off where Disc had like a 30 supply lead, and
Oh yeah.
these two disruptor shots took out like 50 supply or 40 supply
Oh
of
my
Stalker
God.
and Zealot. Like it was so disgusting how many Stalkers she
Yeah.
got. And right away she went from being down 30 supply to being up 10, and then Disc was still trying to like get away from this sandwich position, so he lost even more units trying to get out of there. So it
Mm-hmm.
was just such a huge turning point in the match, and I thought Disc was going to win that one actually. For the most part, he had a lot of
Yeah.
the top side of the map, and Nina was struggling to hold the bottom, but she just was really good with her positioning, and then
Mm-hmm.
catching Disc off guard with a couple of disruptor shots. It was wild.
I mean, if you recall that game too, that's where Nina double ninja expanded too, which was completely out of Disc's like mental radar at that point. But what's so fascinating about this style of PvP is that like especially like contrary to every other type of matchup, especially mirror matchups, supplies don't actually matter. Like you could be 160 versus 130, but that doesn't give you a clear indication of who's winning, which keeps the game always exciting because in most matchups, especially mirror matchups, whoever has more supply is like clearly winning. But this is so not the case in the ping pong style or whatever we call it, right? So that just makes it so fascinating. And whenever, also every single time Nina would expand to the base behind the minerals on Golden Wall, right? I think she did this in like 2 or 3 different matches. I kept thinking of my game where I did like the mass widow mines and I just expanded next to the thing, and I was like, is this what she's trying to do? Is she just trolling right now? Is this real life? I don't know. And the second game that was absolutely amazing, and this blew my mind too, was Rob versus Creature on Death Aura, where it was like the cannon rush into expand other side of the map into Robo, and
Yeah.
just every part of that about that game just like screams to me. Don't me want me on this. It just screams like really intelligent play from Rob right there. Like it's very hard to get the call that I am actually safer to expand next to the main base of my opponent because I'll have a Robo and shield batteries there as well. Which not only that, but he could even overcharge his shield batteries if needed. And
Oh yeah.
just like
Creature.
the fact that he chose the right options, because any player in that situation would be like, all right, I'm going to expand next to his base and I'm just going to rebuild my core and like a couple gateways and I'll be pretty good from there, right? But no, he's like, you know what? I don't even need to rebuild gateways. I already have my Cybercore here. I have no gateways. I'm just gonna put a Robo down. It's not like I need a Cybercore to produce out of my Robo. From there, I can just like easily win the game. And it's like, holy shit, how do you think for this on the spot? Is this a situation he's seen before, or is it just that smart? I don't know. There was so many back and forths in that game, and the game was like 5 minutes. So I don't even know how that's possible. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it
Um,
was really cool to see Creature think like, yeah, exactly. I'm gonna expand right next to Rob. He's already got all these cannons in my main, and if I try to take a base closer to my main, it's gonna make it easier for him to build more cannons over there, and I can't put any pressure on him. So what does he do? He puts the Nexus right outside Rob's base, gets an Immortal out, and now it's an Immortal against like two cannons that Rob had for defense, and
exactly. Yeah.
it took the game. It was awesome.
Yeah, that was really smartly put right there. Yeah, those are my favorite games actually. It's just PvPs, which is a little bit blasphemous. But the thing is that there wasn't a lot of crazy Terran games, except like TVT obviously. Um,
Yeah, I think most of the Terrans played very standard. We didn't really see any crazy cheeses from the Terrans.
mhm,
No floating Raxes into mains. No. And I don't even think we saw a single two Rax Reaper game. So
yeah.
that was interesting to see them kind of trying to play like as standard as possible. Whereas PvP came around, we're like, oh yeah, the new battery is gonna get rid of proxy robo and cannon rushes and all sort
Mhm.
of stuff. Nope, we had just
No,
a
not quite.
complete
No,
fiesta of PvP.
no, not quite though. But we've seen some interesting openings. Like it was like the Gateway Nexus Core by Rob, I think, versus Nina. And the reason why that was so interesting is because like somehow he identified that Nina would not scout on the huge map because that's just a lot of mining time or something like that. And
Mm.
and he didn't do it after because it is a type of style that he feels probably can be countered in a way, maybe by I don't know if Proxy Robo would actually beat it, but it's hard to tell. I don't play PvP, but I feel like Proxy Robo anything, especially if you go one gate, that's just rough. Um,
I
but
think he did that because they play each other often on the ladder, and I think early on Nina was looking for proxies on her side of the map on Isonchrome and didn't even send a probe across to see what Rob was doing. And then
mhm,
Rob, knowing that like Nina probably knows that Nina doesn't cheese a whole lot. Like I haven't watched a ton of her stream, but I've seen her play against other Terrans on the Terran streams, and
mhm,
I never see her like proxy or robo or proxy stargates or anything like that. She plays pretty standard, or even if you want to say like really greedy. So Rob playing, knowing that, played really greedy himself, and yeah, he could have died to like a proxy robo or something, but I think he just took full advantage of knowing how Nina plays and
mhm.
got a cheeky win there, playing a little greedier.
Is there any like I don't know how to put this question really. Is there any like players that kind of disappointed you, like in terms of like games they put out,
Disappoint me in terms of games they put out,
or
or
like I don't
disappointed me
know.
in terms of not showing up? Or
No, let's just forget anything about not showing up because like
yeah,
I mean we did a pretty good job of like not focusing on that because that just doesn't matter,
yeah,
right? We've had a great tournament anyway, and the people who don't show up probably lost anyway. Let's be real. Um,
yeah.
so
Oh,
so yeah,
I'm
is
on
there
the
any like games or series that maybe like disappointed you or you wish like there was more of, or I don't know how to put that question actually.
No, I think you put it pretty well. I really was not super disappointed, but I expected more out of Rob and Jason.
Mhm,
That was like my that was my personally like favorite match going into the playoff weekend or playoff bracket, just because of the history they have. And I watch Jason stream all the time, so I was really excited to see that one. And I guess Jason was really tired, so he like kind of rolled out of bed and played three really quick games. And
mhm,
his proxy got, actually, I said there weren't any Terran proxies. I remember now, he did try to proxy Rax Rob, and Rob caught it, and then that was game three, and he left. I think, yeah, it was like 1 minute long, you said. And
yeah.
yeah, so I won't say I was like really
Mhm,
disappointed with it, but it was one I was hoping to get more out of that matchup.
mhm. In general, though, when he went up against, I mean, he destroyed his group for sure. Just his general gameplay, though. Do you like, did, whenever he got into a normal game, did you like enjoy his? Do you enjoy watching him? Like the things that you watch him on stream all the time, right? But like whenever you
Oh
see
yeah.
them in these tournaments, is like, were you like expecting like more or less, or how did you feel his performance was to you? I guess in the
Overall,
normal
I think his
game.
performance was great. He did very well in his group. I think he went 4-1 in his group,
Mm-hmm.
and that was against, who did he play? Let's see, he played NYK, Creature. and that was it. Yeah, so he
Mm.
showed really good play against Creature, I remember, and against NYK, kind of bopped him. So he looked like really good in his group, and then when it came to the playoff bracket, I think he like the first two games he looked okay, but I think Rob just kind of maybe wanted it more or was more invested. And Jason being Jason, sometimes he'll meme around and he'll joke about things like that. But I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure he just like rolled out of bed, played a couple of games, and went back to bed. So
Jesus Christ. Wait, but the thing is that he only wait, he lives in Toronto, so it should be the same time.
yeah.
So it's like 12 p.m. Like the fuck? How are you sleeping this late? I don't know. I don't feel like he's not a night streamer or anything.
Well, I think it was we started at 11, and
Yeah.
I
All
think
right, he
he
was
does
first
stay up
match
a
actually.
little late. Yeah,
Oh,
we
okay.
switched things around to have him play first because Silky's on the West Coast, so it was
Yeah.
supposed to originally be Silky Future first, but
Mhm.
Silky asked if it was possible to get it changed because he didn't want to play at 8 in the morning, which is it was a reasonable
Yeah.
ask. And he asked me uh, the day before the group or the day before the playoffs when the last group was finalized. So I just checked with the players; everyone was okay with it, so we made the switch. But it is was like I said, I'm not disappointed. It's more I was hoping to see more from that little rivalry that they have.
Yeah, for sure. Would you ever actually consider that like maybe next time we could start later? Or was that not a problem like starting later than 11?
So originally, I wanted to have the whole tournament every day start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mhm.
I think that would have been a lot better for the players because one, they could have slept until whenever. Wouldn't have affected our West Coast players at all.
Mhm.
And if they wanted to practice beforehand, it would have been great for them. Like I think 4 p.m. would have been a fantastic start time. The problem was I was planning this about 3 months ago, and when we finally got to, I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks before the tournament, that's when the ESL DreamHack qualifier dates were announced. And then when I saw that, they're
Oh
literally
yeah,
all, I picked the tournament dates with no other major tournaments on these days
yeah,
from the 17th to the 21st. And then DreamHack qualifiers, boom.
yeah,
We're going to be playing all the qualifiers for NA at 6 p.m.
yeah,
Eastern. So I was like, well, if I start at 4, there's no way I'm going to be
yeah,
done these groups before DreamHack qualifiers, and half of our players are going to choose to try qualify for DreamHack as opposed to playing in a smaller tournament where maybe they could win $500 US, which is nice. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, players like Nina, players like Future are not going to play in my tournament over DreamHack qualifiers, which is 100% understandable. So to accommodate all the players, I was like, all right, well, if whoever wants to qualify for DreamHack, go nuts. I'm not going to take up your time because they are region locked too. So it's not like these guys are trying to play in the EU, the KR, and the NA ones that I just had to worry about the 6 p.m. start time for NA DreamHack qualifiers. So move it back to 11 a.m. It still gives East Coast players some time to sleep in. Maybe you don't get a lot of practice in, but it's not too early in my opinion.
mhm,
A lot of these players, streaming or playing StarCraft for a living. Not, I don't think many of them had full time or worked full time jobs, especially during COVID.
yeah,
Or if they do work, it's from home.
yeah.
So I thought it was still being kind of accommodating or as accommodating as I could be, and allowing them not to overlap with DreamHack.
Yeah, that makes sense. Also, like, in any case, even if you did do all the groups at 4, you would have to do championship Sunday at 11 anyway, because like that would take all day anyway,
Yeah.
right? So might as well
uh,
just like prep them to you're like, dude, it's every day at 11, Um,
Yeah.
um, just before I actually asked you like how you even started this tournament in the first place, I just want to let you like Future disappointed me so much in this tournament. You have no idea.
Really?
Like, yeah, dude. First of all, his Terran versus so he's pretty praised for his Terran versus Protoss because he can take games off of pretty much any Protoss. But oh my god, did he play like absolute garbage? What the fuck? I was so mad when I was spectating the games. I was like, how do you get away with this? Like, so what bothers me like so much is like even in the last game, I don't know if he was like super tired or if there was lag or something. He had like a 2 medevac drop and like 60 Marines, and literally he A moved, and then his medevacs were in the back, and he just late pickup, lost every single Marine. I was like, what the are you 6.8? Like this is not supposed to happen. And then he goes for a push with like 2 tanks, a bunch of Marines. His macro is fantastic, by the way. His builds are super crisp. It's awesome. And then like he starts pre-splitting kinda, and then when he starts splitting, the Baneling's already on his Marines, and I'm like, how is your Michael this bad? He was playing on Eternal Empire too, and like he like the he was sending banelings off creep onto Future's army, and in like the span of 5 seconds, he was able to split about like his Marines into like 4 chunks. It's like, how are you splits this bad? I don't get it. And he would do mass like attacks without like proper factory support, like without enough widow mines, without enough tanks. I'm like, dude, he's just gonna roll over you. What the fuck is this? Or like, and especially with the widow mine buff, it's like, why are you going for tanks the entire game when widow mines are so much stronger now? Like, I don't know. That just made me so mad. I was like, how is someone this good like playing so bad right now? I don't know. I was pretty mad. I was like, what the fuck? Like in the back of the screen, dude. You have no idea. Ugh, I just had to get that out there. I'm sorry, Future.
That's No, that's okay. Totally fair. And you know what? As someone who loves to build tanks still, I don't really fault him on that. But I know the exact moment you're talking about with the 2 medevac drop. Yeah, there was 3 banelings and like I think they were slow banelings too. And Future, like as we were casting it, he literally got all 3 banelings down to like 1 HP or 2 HP. They were all like 1 hit away from being sniped, which we are about to comment like, "Oh my god, beautiful baneling snipes," and instead it was, "Oh my god, 16 Marines just died to like 1 HP banelings." So,
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if that was like a lag, a paint, or ping issue. I don't think that was the case. Neither player was complaining about that throughout the tournament. So,
Yeah, no,
and
I don't
then
think so. Yeah, it's just generally how
yeah,
he took fights. I can actually completely see how he would be really good versus Protoss, because the way you win versus Protoss is with really like strong, like I'm going here, and also my build is very very sharp, which is
yeah,
100% the case, right? But whenever you're playing against Zerg, it's a lot more hectic. The way how you choose fights is very different, and also like how you split in micro is also very very different. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like his composition wasn't fantastic all the time. His builds were good though, but like he just couldn't catch up. His versus Terran and versus his Protoss too is quite good. But I was actually very disappointed by his Terran versus Zerg this tournament. Personally, that's just that's just how
uh,
I saw it. Basically, yeah.
he did get 2-0'd by Nina in the group stage, which was surprising too, and
Mm.
definitely, yeah, I expect everyone was telling me going into this, like, oh my god, you have Future to play. He's gonna smash this tournament. He's like the best player by
Yeah.
far in this tournament. I was like, well, we'll see. You never know, right? Like,
Right.
and I didn't buy into that hype, and I was hoping to see a Terran go all the way and win, but yeah, watching the games against Silky, I think Silky just played a very good. Maybe you can maybe fault Future for some of his moves, but you can't take away from what Silky did in
Oh yeah.
defending all these pushes that Future was trying to come up with.
Mm.
He was getting pretty decent positioning with his Marine tank pushes, but he also did get caught unsieged a couple of times, and you gotta praise Silky for being able to identify when the pushes were coming and being able to set up good
Yeah.
surrounds and
Yeah, for
also
sure.
and crush them. Silky's no joke himself. He's a pretty good Zerg player.
Yeah, for sure. He was I was actually super surprised too. But I feel like Silky already made it to rank 1 at some point. I'm pretty sure. Um, I know Silky is like one of the best Zergs we have on NA for a little bit now. So I wasn't too surprised at that result though. But yeah, generally, that was just my thoughts. I had to vent that one. But so let's go back to like the origin, I guess, of the Miserable Cup. So like, first of all, how many months
Yeah.
has this been in the planning, and what even made you like start this tournament or the idea of it?
So this started back, I want to say, just after March or maybe late March was when I decided to start coming up with this. And I was actually at work on a night shift, and I was, thinking about StarCraft, and I remember that, like, I remember reading about how all the lands were basically being canceled around that time. And so, like, DreamHack Austin, DreamHack Montreal, or maybe it was DreamHack Dallas, wherever the US DreamHacks were, they're all being canceled. Cheesadelphia is getting canceled. Everything's being canceled due to COVID. So I was like, all right, well, that kind of sucks. That's one less event I go to because I've gone to DreamHack Montreal the last 2 years in a row now,
Hmm.
and had an awesome time meeting really cool people and just having a great time watching some great video games. So, uh, I'm sitting at work, and I read on Discord while I was on my phone actually in the lunchroom, and saw that another one of my friends was hosting a tournament, the Fluffy Boom Cup. So that was from Boom TT SC2. He was hosting
Oh, okay.
a tournament himself around that time, and it had a kind of a funky format. But I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, and I
Hmm.
offered to help him out with that. And after I offered to help him out with that, I was like, what if I hosted my own tournaments with like a GSL style format, a little bit more professional, and get as many good players as possible. And I'll put up a decent prize pool for them, like $1,000 or something. And
Yeah.
originally, in the early stage, I was thinking like maybe I'll do something like this every 2 months and make it like a $500 prize pool. And then I started talking with a few friends in the StarCraft community, and it became, well, you don't want to like start investing way too much money into this unless you're actually getting a return, is what one of my friends told me. I was like, well, you're not entirely wrong, but I do want to do something cool for the community during this where everything's being canceled. So uh, maybe we'll do a $1,000 prize pool first, and we'll kind of gauge interest, see what players show up, see how it goes, and then maybe see if we can do it like once every 3 months, 4 months, 6 months,
Hmm.
whatever it ends up being. But that was kind of like the base idea back in March, and then as we got closer to the dates, we got some really awesome players. Not a whole lot changed. It started off, it wasn't going to be straight as an NA thing. I was going to invite players from like EU, Korea, and see just kind of gauge interest on who would actually play in this. And then again, to try and keep things simpler as a first time tournament organizer, uh, I talked again with my friends and was kind of bouncing ideas off them. Like, well, what if we just start off again with just like with the NA scene?
Yeah.
And just invite, the best, try and get the best NA players to play. And then that way it's easier for time zones. It's, you're not, having issues with the prize pool, although I don't think that was going to be a big concern.
Hmm.
But just making it easier, not only on myself, but on the players as well, because it would be difficult to have, say, players from Europe and players from NA and players from Korea, not only all playing at the same time, but playing from different servers. It would definitely be a little bit more difficult to do.
Hmm.
So that was kind of how it came to be.
I guess especially like span over the course of multiple days, like you don't want to deal with like multiple time zones all the time. Maybe if it was like a 1 day tournament, maybe, but yeah. And also
Yeah,
in terms of like the money you invest in it, it always depends. Like, is this like, are you gonna do one tournament? Because if so, like, I mean, go all out. Who cares, right? I guess. But
right.
if you're doing on multiple occasions, like, okay, well, maybe you should dial it back a little bit. I remember, I
Yeah.
think PvP did the PvP Cup at some point, and I think he put in $2,000. That was actually fucking insane of his, like,
Oh, that's awesome.
especially because like he was like I don't even know if he was partnered at the time. But yeah, he did like the PvP Cup. I think he put like $2,000. He got like fucking Gumiho and like some crazy people in there. So yeah, I was like wondering if this was gonna be like your one fucking huge tournament, and like even like ever since those I've seen those tournaments, like what if I do like the Necro Cup, and it's like what would that be? Um, but uh,
Well,
but yeah,
I think that's the cool thing with. Sorry, go ahead. You finish your point.
yeah, I was gonna, but I mean, it was gonna go into another question. It's like, why did you choose a GSL formats? But you can answer that after you do whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of the cool thing with organizing something like this. So throwing out the miserable cup, not only getting my name out there a little bit more, but also showing other players that you can, or other players or potential new organizers, any people like that, that it doesn't take it it does take a little bit to get started, but I'm just a regular guy that likes video games. I work my full-time job, and if you put aside a little bit of money, if you have the means to do it, especially during COVID, like I was working a bunch of overtime to be able, not to be able to do this, but during COVID, like I'm fortunate enough to continue working. Uh, Really, anybody could do what I did. So like the Necro Cup, the
Mhm.
the NYK Cup, the Disc Cup, whoever really if you have the drive to do it, it's a very satisfying feeling. At the end of the day, like once the tournament was over yesterday, I was like, this was really cool. This is a great event. We got some awesome games. I set up the replay pack. I posted that, went to bed, and it's been really a really cool experience. And anyone, I hope it's an infectious thing. I hope to see more cups show up. The necro, like anything more to support the players and support the NAC and support this game is really cool to see. So I think there's already a lot of like smaller tournaments. You see like the Cranky Ducklings thing. You
Mhm.
see other small like $20 and $50 cups popping up. But I would love to see more events like this where you have like those slightly bigger prize pools, the $500 cups, the $1,000 cups,
Yeah.
supporting each scene.
And there's a lot of probably reasons why this is happening, right? I mean, it's not only just because of COVID, but ever since WCS stopped, and there's still the ESL Cups. I feel like all of a sudden it was like, well, now there's about 100,000 vacant viewers. Let's fucking go. It's like everybody can actually put their in, because before that point, it's like, well, sure, you want to do a local tournament, but who the hell's gonna watch it? Like, everyone's just gonna watch WCS anyway. But now it's like, now that the focus really is on like just community and online events. Well, all of a sudden now it's like, well, if you want to do a tournament, it's like 500 or $1,000. You can get pretty much like most GMs in there, and then just kind of do an event on your own. I mean, that was your time to shine. If you want to do an event and you want to have that satisfaction, I mean, you go for it, I guess. Yeah. So it was all based on like the Boom TT's tournament, basically, that happened.
Well, Boom TT's tournament definitely kind of gave me the inspiration to do it. Like I said, I really hope this is like more of an infectious thing and gets people to really want to keep doing events like this and sponsoring events like this. Obviously, I can't put on a Minstrel Cup every month as much as I would love to do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just got the idea from Boom TT doing his thing and hosting his tournament. So that's what kind of gave me the thought while I was at work, and then I grabbed a notepad while I was at work on my night shift and just started like sketching out ideas, like brainstorming. What am I going to call it? Which players am I going to invite? What format am I going to do? Like all the just spent a solid 5 or 6 hours of one of my shifts just doing all that.
It's kind of like not fantasy football, but it's like the same thing as like fantasy StarCraft, except it's gonna be real this time. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, this brings back memories. Like the back in early Heart of the Storm, I think one of my friends called Matt. Actually, he was I actually did a podcast with him. I think it's episode 6. It's 10 Distant, and back then we were like 14 at the time, and he would actually just have like notebooks where he would literally just do fantasy brackets with like MC and Huck, but he would also put us. He would put like Necro, and he would put Savior, which is one of my other friends, and he would put Ten Distant, and he would just like literally do these made up fantasy brackets and like storylines, and it's like, well, fuck, what if we did this for real? Oh man, that was crazy time.
That's super cool.
Anyway, as I mentioned, like at the beginning, just before we started the podcast, for some reason, it's always a theme, at least in the past like 10 podcasts, where we talk about like the picture that people send me whenever I want to use it for my layout. And like when I saw that picture, it's like, are you watching like a video where like a Protoss warps in 12 Zealots at once and then fucks a Terran, and it's like a video on Pornhub or something like that? And it's like, I don't know, you just look traumatized. And the only thing that traumatizes you this much is charge lots from the meme, but...
So it's kind of a dumb story, but it's also kind of funny. It's recent actually. So I've been talking with. Are you familiar with Boom, the anime Zerg streamer?
Yeah, of course. We're like sub to each other.
Awesome. So Boom's been like really up in her production game with the memes on her page. If you go to her Twitch page, you'll see like she's got a ton of different commands with just they'll just pop up memes on her page. Some of them are really awesome and clever, some of them are just super dumb. So there was, before this whole DMCA thing started, well, the whole like strikes and everything that started happening, me and her was brainstorming a little bit because we talk from time to time, and we thought about the coffin meme, where the 6 guys are dancing around with the coffin. And so she's like, oh my god, we should make one for Jason. I was like, I want you to make one for me first, because I love this. Is like my favorite meme that's ever come out. So she's like, all right, well, what do you want to be on the coffin? Because she's really good at like actually getting this, like making these things. And I was like, all right, so the first one we're gonna make, I'm gonna be one of the guys dancing with the coffin, and I'm gonna put a Zerg logo and a Protoss logo on there so that I can play that on stream and dance around with the dead Zergs and the dead Protosses that BM me, right? So that was the idea for the first one. The second one was for a coffin dance where I could be in the coffin and the guys dancing with it would all have like the head of a disruptor or a bunch of zealots. And so, and that's where the second picture comes into play, where it's me looking like I'm about to die.
Oh yeah. And you just like Photoshop that face on the coffin basically?
Yeah, basically. So that's what that one was for. And then sadly there was all the DMCA drama going on lately, and funny enough, that's copyright or
Well, I mean the
copyrighted material.
yeah
The
the
song that plays.
yeah I was gonna say the song that plays, right? Because like the meme isn't copyrighted. Memes are up in the air, but
That's
like
true.
the song that plays over it, yeah, can definitely be copyrighted. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I could still play around with the coffin dance. I just wouldn't be able to use the music for
Yeah.
it, which is
Well, I
also
mean,
fine.
what
That's where
if
that
someone
came
made
from.
like an instrumental cover that's like basically a cover? Can they DMC that, or is it
I
just like the
don't
original
know.
track?
See, I don't know where the line is on that one. I would have to read more
Yeah.
into it. I'm not super familiar with my copyright law, which sucks because like I listen to a lot of video game tracks on Spotify when I'm streaming. Like I'll
Hmm.
listen to it like old school like Donkey Kong or Pokemon and all that kind of stuff and like
Hmm.
remixes of all that stuff. So I don't know where exactly the line is on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Now I know a lot of other streamers are playing music where they'll not allow clips, not keep their VODs and delete all that stuff so that they can't get DMCA striked.
Hmm.
But I'm still a little concerned because I also read that they're looking at taking down live videos, so that's a little bit
Ooh,
scary
that's
as
different. Yeah, that's gonna be a whole
yeah,
different line right there. Holy fuck.
that's
All
that's
right.
that's a game changer. But I mean, I haven't heard of it happening to anyone yet. There was kind of a rumor that I read that it could happen in the future, that they're looking into it. And honestly, I think it would take a shitload of manpower to do that, and I don't know if that would actually
Yeah.
happen, but who knows?
And even if it
Um,
does happen, to be fair, I think that's just going to increase the market for copyright-free music, and then that's people are just going to
yeah.
gravitate towards that. Although obviously it sucks, but there will obviously be a solution too. I don't think it's that bad. Like
Oh yeah.
nobody's going to die, obviously, but
It was
uh,
just a bummer for the coffin memes. So I got to use it for I got to use it for
yeah,
about a whole week before
I,
all this drama started, and then I was like, oh well, I don't want to get banned for potentially a really dumb meme, so
oh my
now I
god.
can't use it
That's
anymore. But
literally the worst part of the copyright strike is that we can't use the coffin dance meme, man. It doesn't get much worse than that. Holy fuck. All right.
exactly.
Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, Boom's insane with her like production. I'm pretty sure streaming is just like is literally her life. Like she streams or she watches other people stream or she works on her stream. It's actually insane.
Yeah, she puts a ton of effort in, and it's like I really do appreciate being able
Oh
to
yeah.
help or not help, but talk to her and bounce ideas off her, and not this is gonna sound awful. Use her as a resource, but she is very helpful in that regard and is a very cool person to talk to. And
Yeah.
uh, if you're looking at if you, she's very approachable too. If you approached her and was like, "Hey, I had an idea for something for stream," and she has a way to help you in that, she more than likely
Mm.
will, I think.
And
So I think
if you want like any audio advice, just ask Sal, and he will over fucking load you with like audio
oh yeah,
tips. Oh my god.
if you want to hear Sal talk for like 8 hours,
Oh
just
yeah.
ask him the differences between a Shure SM7B and a Blue Yeti, and he'll tell you for about 6 hours why the Blue Yeti is complete garbage and why you should have picked any other
Mm.
mic other than the Blue Yeti.
Yeah. Yeah. Or or and if you want to get him triggered though, you talk about like how a wired mouse will always be better than a wireless mouse. And he will fucking
Another
trip
good one
balls,
too.
my guy.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, he'll get
Oh
so mad for
yeah.
that. But I mean, yeah, whenever people get really a lot into audio, I can totally get it too. Is that like it just become it's like a mini obsession on the side, to be honest. Like perfect audio and just like audio setups and acoustics and everything. Like as soon as you get into that, like it's like almost automatically becomes a passion. So I can totally relate to him as like if someone asks me for audio advice, it's pretty much going to be similar. It's not going to be on the level of Sal because he did just like way more research on that. Uh,
Yeah.
but
You
yeah.
know what? Even in with my stream setup, I actually made a bunch of those soundproofing panels from scratch, and
Hmm.
because the room I streamed in before I put the panels in, you would get like a lot of echoing in the room, and like kind of my voice would kind of bounce around in the room, and it would just sound kind of bad with the microphone I had. And even though I had like a decent microphone at the time, it still didn't sound very good. And then I made these audio panels and had just an awesome time doing it. Like it was I don't know if it wasn't like really exciting or anything. It was actually kind of repetitive, but I just had fun doing it because I was making something for my stream setup. It wasn't just me buying a bunch of a new monitor or a new microphone or whatever. It was just
Yeah.
me. I was actively putting some effort some effort into building it. So it was really cool to build all those up. And then as soon as I put them up on the walls, it was like almost an instant how much I noticed the difference was. I was like, wow, my voice isn't like reverberating off of the walls and echoing
Oh
really
yeah.
poorly. Like
Yeah.
it was really cool. And again, like you say, you kind of get hooked or addicted or become like really into how it sounds. And I still don't have like the best audio setup, but like I do appreciate what I have now. So
Oh yeah, for sure. It's quite nice. Actually, how did you even get into streaming that much? Because I feel like right now you're a lot more active than you've ever been. And it's probably not just because of COVID. Even before that, like you were doing streams like almost I don't know how many days a week, like at least 4 or 5 is what I feel like. I don't have numbers on that, but you seem to be on your 206th stream next stream, or at least in the series of chapters that you've been putting in your titles.
yeah, so I think it's like yeah, so each stream is its own chapter, and that was an idea I got from another streamer actually. But yeah, so I'm on I think 207. I've been streaming about 2 to 4 times a week, depending on my days off. I was streaming a little bit on days off, but I found I was getting pretty exhausted pretty quickly. And in my line of work, it's not hard to get really exhausted. So now I just I take those days off from streaming, and if I'm feeling up to it on my days off, I'll stream on my days off. And if I'm working night shifts, sometimes I'll stream before a night shift because I'm usually up a lot earlier in the day even on those night shifts. So yeah, I think it's like 2 to 4 times a week. I just wanted to do more streaming once I started buying some new things and getting a nicer computer. I used to stream a lot in college and university. Like we're talking back in like 2010, 2011,
Oh,
and all of that was done from actually my school library. That's when I first actually that's when I
Jesus.
first got partnered with Twitch at the time, Justin TV.
I actually
And
remember that, dude. I actually remember that because what happened is you got fucking hosted by Jason for like 800 viewers or some shit like that, and you just got insta partnered because your average just went up like sky high.
yeah, and well, back then too, like there wasn't like a requirement. Like now you have, there's like 3 or 4 different requirements you have to meet to even be considered for one of those little partner verified badges or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, which is kind of a pain for a lot of new streamers. But yeah, I got like really lucky that I kind of came into the scene when I did, because back then, like if you were on a StarCraft team, you could get partnered very easily, because back then StarCraft was like the esport to watch before it kind of
Mm-hmm.
slowed down and other games started taking over a little bit. But yeah, it was really cool because I was basically just streaming from my university library Wi-Fi. So I'd go to class and then I'd go and study for a little bit, and then I'd play StarCraft on
Oh
my
man,
laptop at school. And
yeah.
it was so fun. And it really brings me back. That was a good time to get into StarCraft.
How did you get into StarCraft at all in the first place? Do you remember like not maybe the not when you bought it, but like the events leading up to when you bought StarCraft 1 or 2 for the first time?
So with StarCraft 1, I started the very first time I played it actually was in like around the last year of high school. So around the end of grade 12, I was working a mall security job with some friends. We were like it was actually pretty sweet. Three of us were working at the same mall security, and I was actually the supervisor, which was probably a poor decision from management's choice. But I mean, that's a whole nother story. So the three of us were working together, and I had this office, and there's no windows or anything to it. So there'd be a lot of days where regularly I'd show up a little bit hungover and just kind of nap in the office. And one day, one of my one of my buddies, one of the other coworkers, came in, and he brought his laptop in, and he had StarCraft One Brood War on his laptop, and he's just playing custom games in the office while I'm having one of my hangover naps. And woke up
Jesus.
and was like, oh, that's cool. This looks really neat. How do you play? And I got him to show me it and everything. And then I was like instantly hooked on StarCraft One Brood War custom games. I was
Mm.
playing Cat and Mouse. I was playing Heaven's Last Defense, and was just really into those custom games. And then I heard StarCraft Two was coming. I was like, oh man, new custom games on a way better game with way better custom like way better
Hell yeah.
graphics. This is gonna be amazing. So I was super excited for StarCraft 2 custom games, not
Mm.
1v1, like totally oblivious to the whole pro scene and everything else. So,
Oh yeah.
I was just so excited for that. So I pre-ordered it. I got in line for the midnight release that they had in my town, which was, kind of surprising looking back at it. I'm surprised they did a midnight release for that game. But I was still so excited to get it. So I got home, booted it up, started playing a little bit campaign, and then I went straight to the custom games. I'm like, all right, where's cat and mouse? I gotta figure out how cat and mouse works on on StarCraft 2.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, it wasn't until like 3 months after owning StarCraft 2 where I tried like my first ranked game. I started with ranked teams, and then I met a few people in ranked teams that are like, we should play 1v1 sometimes. Like, I don't want to play 1v1s. I don't know what to do even. I'm just kind of, play around in custom games. And then slowly but surely they converted me into playing 1v1s. I started playing Zerg, and just because I think that's probably what almost everyone picks when they first start playing StarCraft. Is like, oh, I want to play the cool bugs. I want to be like the aliens.
Is it though? I,
I don't know. That's what I thought. I thought I
mm,
was like just kind of the follower.
mhm,
Maybe people like the aliens with the lasers, but I thought it was really cool to play like the bugs from Starship Troopers, So
mm.
that's what I did. I got to platinum by just 7 roach rushing everybody. I saw a video on YouTube that was like, get to diamond or get highest rank really quick by doing this.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. It was literally the 7 roach rush, and just did that over and over again. And then as I got a little bit higher on the ladder, I think it was like once I got to platinum, I don't think they had the tiers back then. People learned that you could build marauders and spine crawlers and an immortal and stuff, and suddenly 7 roach rush wasn't very good, and I got really mad. I was like, well, what the heck do I do
This
if
is
everyone can stop 7 roach rushes?
fucking
What?
bullshit.
Yeah, fuck this. I'm gonna switch to Terran, and I'm gonna shoot things with Marines and stuff. And then I started doing that, and I think I got to Diamond after just a few months of playing Terran. And
Hmm.
then yeah, just then I started watching more streamers play, and from there I was introduced more to the pro scene and started watching like GSL, like the early days of GSL.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Well,
I can still remember some of the games from some of the pros back then. With Startail, I think Startail Rainbow and Fruit Dealer was one of the first
yeah.
GSLs, or maybe it was the first one.
Fruit
And
Dealer is the first GSL champion, actually.
that's right,
Yeah.
yes. But yeah, Startail Rainbow, I remember he would do like these Reaper combat shield +1 defense marine builds that just like made no
People
sense.
are
But
so bad, dude. You've no idea.
yeah, yeah.
It was disgustingly bad. But yeah, I mean, like esports in the West like actually started in like 2010, right? So obviously the esports scene and the 1v1 scene wasn't really on your mind at that point. Like we owe a lot to um just it's also like a lot of pros of like StarCraft 1 actually just went to Korea straight up because there was no scene here for like StarCraft 1, right?
Oh
And,
yeah,
and then when StarCraft 2 came out, it was like, well, fuck, all of a sudden now, like, everyone's coming back here into the West, and then, like, League of Legends and StarCraft 2 were, like, the pioneers of esports here in the West. And, like, from there, esports was created, Twitch was created, or Justin TV
yeah.
or whatnot, right? Um, so that became big at that point. Yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, you've been watching like GSL for a long time. I assume that's probably one of the reasons why you chose like a GSL group stage format kind of thing, as well for your tournament.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to say I started getting like really into GSL around 2011. Probably sounds about right. It
Mm-hmm.
was near the end of the first year of StarCraft 2 being released. That's
Mm-hmm.
when I started paying more attention to the pro scene, and really watching, becoming more of a spectator of the game. And I mean, the format that they've had for so long has always been so good. You have your 4 groups.
Mm-hmm.
You have a couple of favorites to get in always with GSL. You have a few upsets here and there, and then you have your playoff bracket. And the playoff bracket is always pretty good. And it's spaced out over more time. It's like weeks long event, but it's always some of the best StarCraft. Like if you look at how the groups are done and how many games the players play, how much preparation goes in,
Oh
and
yeah.
how good these players are, like that's how you get the best StarCraft in my opinion. So
Hmm.
on a smaller scale, on a much smaller scale, I kind of thought to do the same thing in NA here with the Miserable Cup, doing the 4 group stages, giving the players a little bit of time beforehand. Like I think I had the group set up about a week and a half before the actual tournament was ready, so
Hmm.
giving the players about 10 days or so to look over their group, know who they're playing against, and then they can practice however they want. And then, obviously, I wanted to get it all done kind of at once. I didn't want to, do weeks in between the playoffs or in between the groups. So,
Yeah, of
they
course.
didn't have as much prep time for the playoffs, but I still think we got some really awesome games out of these players.
Yeah, I'm actually curious how much they actually prepared for their own group. There was a big debate back in early Wings too with one of my friends who was like he was Vietnamese and he was like really fucking good at StarCraft. He played Zerg and everything, and we were like debating like what's a more impressive even to this day this is actually still a relevant question. It's like who's the better StarCraft player? Like someone who can like marathon like an entire tournament in 2 days, or is it like the GSL format where you got like 2 weeks to prepare for your match? It's like what is true skill in StarCraft? And he was always like, dude, I don't give a fuck about if he won like 5 MLGs, dude. If he can't get out of his GSL group, he's not a good player. And I was like, maybe not. I don't know how much really. That's yeah. So
I
uh,
kind of agree with that. I don't see the thing with the other, like if you want to crush a tournament in 2 days, then it's more of an endurance thing. Like, okay, can you have the the mental fortitude to get through like 30 games of StarCraft in 2 days? Like, I don't think that's how you get the best StarCraft. I think I agree with like not 100%, but I think I agree more with your friend where if you can't get past your first group and you have all this time to prepare for three different opponents, then you you know, not you shouldn't be playing, but you if you can't get through one group, then how are you going to get through a 2 day ordeal with like, you know, without, you know, factoring in other players fatigue and whatnot.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that like whenever you're doing like GSL group formats too, you're kind of looking also for like kind of the build order win, right? So you're trying to like do taxing, prepare for these opponents specifically. It's like you're going into like a gladiator match, and one person has a knife, and then there's a huge fucking gladiator who's like 300 pounds and like a huge sword. But like technically, the like dude that's like 100 pounds has a knife, and he knows exactly what like the sweet spot is, and then he actually wins the match in like 5 seconds. Like, well, clearly he's the stronger fighter. Let's be real, okay? I don't know. I still think it's a little bit up to debate because I feel like in GSL, like I mean, I guess it depends how many players you have to prepare for, but it all just feels kind of like very snipey builds. I mean, your goal is to be able to snipe and hard counter your opponent. It's like the whole point, right? And it's like is hard countering an opponent like more of a skill. Obviously, there's more preparation, but does that make you a more skillful player, right? Like I was in a local tournament here in Montreal. We were doing a what you call it yeah, we were just doing a tournament, and it was all like 1v1s, and it
Mhm.
was I mean it was all sorry best of ones, and I had a special build prepare where I was actually practicing with my Zerg friend, and we were playing on Everdream, and I was like, when you send your Overlord, the Overlord part doesn't actually scout if I have an expansion or not. And if I look at the scout patterns of these Overlords here, it's like, well, they don't go through here. And I was like, can I float 4 barracks in your main? And then I kind of did that. Well, I actually did it on accident, and then because I just basically I just wanted to see how my friend would react in terms of micro, like pulling drones, using spine crawls and stuff. I just wanted to see that. But then he insta GG, and I was like, "What did you GG? I just wanted to see how you micro." And it's like, "Well, you can't stop that." And I was like, "Well, well." And then I started looking at the map, and it's like, "This makes total sense right now." And it's like to be able to react properly to that, there's so many things you have to do, and you can't do that in a split second decision right there. Like you have to cancel your third, you have to build 2 spine crawls at the bottom of your natural, you have to cancel speed too almost, and just get more queens. And I started realizing how perfect, like how much of a perfect storm this build is on this map. And then I actually won versus a GM in the lower bracket in that tournament because I did that snipe build that like nobody could ever predict. And then 2 weeks later, TY does it on GSL. I was like, oh fuck, he like thought of the same
When,
thing.
when I
And
saw TY do that build, sorry to interrupt you, but that was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen.
oh yeah, because I wasn't even watching GSL at that point, and then someone messages me on Discord. And it's like, dude, he's doing your fucking build on GSL. I was like, what are you talking about? And it's like, go look at GSL right now. He's lifting his building. He's like, wait, what are you talking about? And then I go watch, and then in the VOD, it's like, dude, he lifted his barracks in the same position. I was like, holy fuck, I thought of what I thought of.
Motherfucker.
But like that's just that's the GSL thing, right? It's like I beat someone who's about 1,000 MMR above me because I did this snipe build on his very specific map, and it's like, well, does that make me better at StarCraft? I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Uh, so the argument I would counter that with is that at at the GSL level, you play these multiple games, so it's a best of three. So yeah, maybe he wins one game with that, but then you're always gonna see a couple. You're always gonna see some of these snipe builds, these cheesy builds in any kind of group stage format. but you still see the players bust out their best macro games. You still see that happen, and like Ty not only pulled out the big brain plays doing these proxy 4-axes and lifting into the main or the 2-axe proxies too, but I mean that's part of the whole strategy of StarCraft, right? Is
Yeah.
I know how my opponent plays in this particular map. I don't think he's going to scout this way, so I'm going to do this. And now going forward, is Ty going to do that against other Zergs? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe it gets scouted and he gets absolutely crushed because of it, right? So it plays into the strategy side of the game, right?
Yeah, I mean it's all about like how well do you know your opponent, right? Like Ty when he was playing against Parting, he was like, well, I know that you don't put a pylon here to like spot the back of the back blind spot on Golden Wall, so I'm just gonna drop 4 Hellions there, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it's like, well, I don't know how much you quantify that into like skill. Like I can the reason, like the thing is that I fucking suck on ladder, okay? I'm like 4100, okay? But like whenever I play in tournaments, whenever I know how someone's playing, I can play up to like a 5k level, and like you're 4800, you're like really good on the ladder, but when I know how you play, then like I'm like way more comfortable,
You
and
can
I
find
can,
the holes.
yeah, you can find the holes exactly. So I don't know. It's still like a weird thing for me. I still think it's probably. I mean, the right answer is that it's a mix of both, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you know how someone plays, then you can poke holes in that and there. But when you don't know how they play, how sustainable is that really? And is sustainable like even fucking a skill in itself? I don't know anymore. Fuck it. I don't want to change the subject. This has been too long. I've been rambling.
There.
But yeah,
We'll leave it up
who are
to
your
date.
favorite players in GSL? Because you started like pretty early watching that, right?
Yeah, so my early, if we're gonna go like really far back, my favorite player, I think my first favorite Terran to watch was MVP.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And most of that came because he was winning a lot of tournaments. He was crushing Terran, I think,
Mm-hmm.
for a long time in the 2011 to 2012 time. So I remember watching a lot of Incredible Miracle games, and he was just a super solid Terran, and he was doing it at like every stage of the game. He was very good in his early game. He was very good in his mid game, and then he was awesome with his late game. And it's where we got some really cool games throughout the years. Like we saw, what was it? I think it was versus Squirtle, where we saw
Yeah.
Squirtle actually winning with this insane Archon toilet. Like
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's one of my like most memorable times watching StarCraft was watching that, and I was like, oh my god, like what the fuck, Protoss is so OP. Like all these battle cruisers are dead.
I mean, battle cruisers were the most cost inefficient slash useless unit back in the day. Like,
Oh yeah,
he
before they
was
could shoot at the
just
same
like,
time as moving.
yeah, he was just like, well, also Yamato kind of was just completely different. They could just get feedbacked, and like yeah, and they just couldn't fucking shoot. They had no DPS too. They didn't have that much armor, and like I feel like MVP was just flexing his way superior economy in that game, and then it just ended up backfiring. It's like, I mean, it's like, yeah, he just thought he could just like win with a mass battle cruiser, but it didn't work. He didn't win that series with a bunk rush at the end though, game 7, but
It's true.
that was crazy.
Um,
But yeah, MVP was the first innovation, so I totally get why a lot of people were inspired there. But
yeah, I think he won 4 or 5 GSLs before he kind of. I think he had to go to the military
yeah,
shortly after, but then
I
recently,
should
I
I
think
should
TY
know.
is actually grown in my heart now since he
Yeah.
just won this last GSL. But it was more the way in which he won this last GSL. Every single caster, every single analyst, and like pro was like, well, TY is not the best. Like even like people down at my level, like, well, TY is not the best Terran in the group. Obviously, it's Maru and innovation, and
Hmm.
like yeah, you can make that argument. Maru's insanely talented. Like he's probably still the best Terran out there, and innovation is probably a close second. But everyone's saying Ty, like he's a smart player. He's mechanically okay, but like he's not at the tippy top. And then he busts out all these big brain moves like
Yeah.
round after round, and it
Yep.
started with Dark. It started against
He's
Dark
just a
this
better planner.
season.
He's just a better planner.
Yeah,
This is why he's the ultimate GSL. Like everyone was wondering, like, why didn't you win a GSL yet? And it's like nobody knows
yeah,
really, but now it shows. It's like this is the ultimate GSL player. This is what GSL is all about, right?
yeah. So it was awesome to see him win, and again in the fashion that he won his games. Like he was flexing that large brain, and I loved every second of it. So He's growing in my heart. I mean, it's a close tie between him and Maru on who my favorite player is now.
I mean, yeah. I mean, every single game that every single game that TY goes Mech versus Protoss, you just get a bigger and bigger
Oh,
boner at that point. Like,
I
I
can
can
only
see it.
get so erect.
Oh yes, only so much. What the fuck? Um, Otherwise, like, where does the name Misery come from? And did you have other usernames before that?
I did actually. So Misery is a shortened version or shortened form from Misery Theory. And that's a dumb name. I already know. I've conceded that's a dumb name. But back in the day with Xbox being really big, that was like my first gaming console for like I guess for online, not first gaming console. The first experience I had with online gaming was through Xbox Live. And I met these friends that wanted to like make up a clan and change our names and everything. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. They wanted to do something theory, so there was like chaos theory, and I
Mm.
can't remember a bunch of the other ones, but I came up with misery theory. That sounds kind of cool, being an edgy teenager that I was. Like,
Mhm.
all right, that's it. And I would get the stupid people would like send me the stupidest messages, like trying to troll me, like what's the misery theory, bro? Like, do you just like people play against you and then you're in misery all the time? And I was like, that's so dumb, but yeah, sure, whatever. I just was trying to make a cool sounding nickname,
Oh
and
yeah.
so then I continued with that in StarCraft, and then eventually I was like, ah, it's a long name. I'm just gonna shorten it down because it's like instead of it being like 7 syllables, it'll be easier. It'll just be misery, and that was it. That's the story of that
Yeah.
one.
I mean, a name is a name, really. And of course, we're going to go
Yeah,
with something that sounds cool. I mean, our parents named us after whatever name they thought sounded cool. That's literally it. That's literally it. Like, sometimes they have like deeper meaning. Like, well, I named you after like your great great grandfather. It was like, well, the father of my great great grandfather just thought it was a cool sounding name. So, I mean, in the end, it's just names that sound cool, right? They're just
yeah,
yeah. At the end of the day, but yeah, every single time people like fucking try and figure out like what your name actually means, it's like it's kind of cringe. Let's be real. Um,
oh yeah. There are some funny moments now on the ladder I find when I play against players that I see often, and
mhm.
sometimes they'll be like, "Your name is how I feel every time I see you in the in the queue stage or in the loading
God
screen,"
damn.
and
God damn.
I just throw a smiley face back at them like, "Oh, I'm sorry, man."
Yeah, and we're at a level too where we're actually started to meet some people more regularly just because like we're in a upper bracket, kind of like the ladder. Is there any
Hmm.
like people on the ladder or stuff like that that you consider like rivals, or at least that whenever you see them on the loading screen, you're kind of just like, I really want to beat you.
Yeah, there's so I actually saw that question and I thought about it a lot because there's like three guys on the ladder that I see all the time. Some not so much like in the last month or so, but there's two players that I saw in particular like 3 to 4 times a day every time I streamed, and I wanted to just like a I wanted to die a little inside every time I see their name on the loading
Mm.
screen, and B, I just really, really wanted to beat them. So one of them was Omaha Kid. I don't know if you've ever played against him.
Omaha Kid. I don't think so. No, actually.
No? All right. So this man will one base baneling bust you every single game.
Okay.
Regardless of what you scout, regardless of what he scouts,
Mhm.
he could see a full wall with 5 engineering bays blocking that ramp. He's going to go for it.
Mhm.
So every time I see Omaha Kid, I see that I'm like, well, I know I gotta go to gas, I gotta get a tank, I gotta build the great wall of my ramp
Mhm.
and hope to God that, he didn't find a way to make it come slightly faster because, you know, he hits at about the time that your tank just finishes or like 2 or 3 seconds before your tank finishes if you didn't rush straight to a tank.
Mhm.
So it's a scary build. So that's one guy. I wouldn't really consider him a rival, but it's one guy whose name pops up often enough that I see it and I'm like,
Hmm.
oh God, it's you again.
Yeah. Someone
uh,
who pushes you to try and to try hard the game very much.
who,
Is what I would consider a rival, basically.
all right, who pushes me really hard to
Well,
try hard?
yeah, just
It,
makes
would
you
it
want to
would
try
be
hard.
it would be, I think he changed his name recently, but USN Icazia.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think he changed the front part of his name. I think now it's something else, Icazia. But I actually one day on stream faced him. I think it was like 6 games in a row,
Hmm.
and like Omaha Kid, he always does the same build, and it's always the fastest possible DT drop
Yeah,
every single game.
yeah.
And there was during the stream where I faced him so many times in a row. I called him my mortal enemy. I didn't type it out to him. I was like, this guy's my god. He's my goddamn mortal enemy.
Yeah,
I can't keep losing to this DT drop because I think
yeah.
I lost to it the first like 3 times I faced it. And
And then when he actually defended DTs, he does like he morphs in the Archons, gets charged,
and
and
does a
just busts you.
yep. He
Yeah,
does this. Yeah, he morphs them to like he
yeah.
builds 3 Archons and then builds like 20 Zealots and tries to bust in that way. So
He always has a follow up. He has like one game plan. He's like perfected it. I know this man.
yeah, yeah. So I wouldn't call him so much a rival as that. Like I see his name, I'm like, I'm not losing to you, you son of a bitch.
Oh, I actually get the same feeling. Yeah, a little bit more with I think it's DTWB or something like that.
Yeah,
I kind of put those two in a similar boat, except DTWB just does more weird timings. Actually, he doesn't anymore. He actually tries to play macro, and he's absolutely garbage at it. But he used to be very similar, like very DT, very like charge a lot timing kind of a thing. Or like proxy robo sometimes, but yeah, those would be like the two products, yeah, that you just don't want to lose to.
oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Any other rivals that you see on stream?
Any
Not
other
on stream,
rivals?
sorry, on the ladder.
Um, there was one other now, and the big shout out to Samuel, the 5K Protoss cannon rusher that also cannon rushes every single game. That's another one that I try hard on every time I see him
Mm.
because I know I'm getting cannon rushed. I know no matter what I do, it's going to happen, and at the end of every game is the exact same with him. He cannon rushes, I early wall. He cannon rushes the low ground. He builds a void ray, and he then goes double Stargate Tempest, and I have to sit there and try my darndest to get like 15 Vikings out.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
I I guess it's one of those names that pops up, and I would say that he's probably replaced Omaha Kid in the frequency that I see him. I don't see Omaha Kid as much anymore,
Hmm.
but Samuel, just like USN Icazia, I see him probably 2 to 3 times every time I stream.
Mm.
And I don't know if that's just that we have similar schedules for work or what, but
Maybe,
I
I don't
swear
know.
I see him. I see him a lot. It feels like.
I mean, you guys are going up obviously in the percentage of people that actually played the game, so yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Is there any like game on ladder or like that just sticks out in your mind? Like either it was like super close or just a memorable game that you've played. I guess I would say like in your life, but like that's like a lot of that's a lot of games, my guy. I guess maybe in the past 2 years you might have played a game that was like pretty standout. I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely one that stands out. It was a TVT I played recently, and I actually uploaded it to YouTube. I got a bunch of, I uploaded some clips to Reddit because it was so intense, and it came down to me getting, it was a base trade, and it came down to me having one Banshee against like 50 Marines, a bunch of medevacs, and a bunch of tanks, and he was guarding this one supply depot left over that he had built, but he built it right next to Dead Space. So like at the end of the game, and I was doing this on the stream too. I was like, I'll start from like the start of the base trade. So the base trade starts happening. We lose pretty much all of our buildings. I had a couple of SCVs left, and I'm frantically trying to get a command center down somewhere so I'm not being revealed. So we can't find my floating
What
buildings
map is
with his
this, real quick?
Vikings. This was on Simulacrum.
Okay, got it.
So on Simulacrum, he still had a bunch of Vikings left. I still had a pretty big army myself, but we were trying to find out where each other's armies were and try to like, how TVT base trades are Marine Tank Viking versus Marine Tank Viking. We're trying to find each other and get the first siege up and win. And I actually had 3 Ravens still alive too, so I had that advantage. And I end up paying too much attention to my SCVs to try and get them to build things on like in corners of the map, and I end up sending one to like his main base to try and build a CC there,
Hmm.
and I ended up not paying attention to my army and losing like all of it.
Oof.
And all I killed for him were the Vikings, basically,
Mhm.
which ended up being the perfect thing. So
Oh yeah.
all of his Vikings are dead. All of his production is gone. All that's left that he had was one refinery that he built at My Natural, and one supply depot, or no, two supply depots that he built near the dead space, which would be, I guess, by my third base. So if we're
Yeah.
talking about the bottom
Yep.
right of Simulacrum, yeah. So he has
Triangle
those
third
two,
base or line third base?
a line third
Oh
base.
yeah, got it.
So there's like a little bit of dead space there.
Yeah.
So that's all he's got left for his buildings. And I've got like a pack of Vikings. I've got like 4 Vikings and 3 Ravens that are left over from where I lost all my tanks and Marines. And then I've got like 5 SCVs scattered on the map.
Yeah.
So I'm building all of these. So I'm building all these command centers around because I have this huge bank because I'm terrible. And one of them is in his main. And he ends up finding all of them and snipes all the workers and all the command centers except for the one I started in his main. But then he finds that one. So I cancel it really quick and send the SCV to like the corner, and he doesn't find the SCV.
Mhm.
But now I'm revealed. So I'm like, shit, I have no more money for a command center. I have a little bit of gas. Like, what am I gonna do? He could see all my buildings.
He has no
So-
Vikings though, so you need
Yeah,
to
no
float
Vikings,
something.
yeah. Yeah, so I floated what buildings I had left in the corner. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he can't rebuild anything, and he has no Vikings. So this is gonna be a stalemate for sure. And I'm like, all right, I have one SCV. I have enough money to build exactly one factory, one starport, and a Banshee. If I can maybe get a Banshee out, I can win the game.
Did you have cloak?
But first, no, I didn't have enough
Ooh,
might for cloak.
Goddamn. Alright.
So before that happened, though, I forgot about this. Was I tried to use the Ravens and the Viking just to set his last buildings on fire, and I got the refinery. I got one of the depots, but then I didn't have enough energy for any auto turrets. I think I had enough money for one auto turret. I landed the Vikings and I just went for it. And this was like the worst decision ever because if I just waited for more energy, I probably could have actually done that or whittled him down
Mhm.
with auto turrets until I won the game. But I just sent it all at the last depot to try and set it on fire. And he had enough money to repair it back to full and kill all my Vikings and Ravens. So I literally have one SCV left. And I'm like, well, I just threw. This sucks. So I start building the factory and I get it done. I'm like, that's really weird because I'm being revealed right now. He can literally see me building this factory.
Yeah.
And then I get the tac lab, and then I start building the starport. And then he finds the factory. And I was like, no, like I'm fucked. This is it. It's a tie.
Hmm.
He kills the factory, and he gets me to cancel the starport. But then he doesn't kill the tech lab,
Yeah,
and he
ooh.
doesn't kill the SCV. He
Ooh.
turned back around and left. I was like, there's no way he doesn't come back and kill this SCV and this starport.
This tech lab.
There's no
too.
way it happens. And the tech
Oh my
lab too. And this is pivotal because I had just enough minerals to finish the starport and then start a Banshee. I literally had like 1 mineral left after
Yeah.
this. So I'm like, there's no way he doesn't come back and kill this before the Banshee pops out. Never came back. So the Banshee pops out. I throw on Eye of the Tiger on stream. I'm like following it across the map because I have nothing else to do. And I fly it over to this dead space right by his last supply depot. And I have no cloak. I'm trying to get in, like trying to inch closer to like hit the depot. But like the Marines keep getting like just barely getting a shot off. And I forgot that Banshees have 1 more range than Marines. So like
Yeah.
at this time, I'm just like trying to like kite the Marines and like damage the Marines a little bit. And he didn't have his whole army with that depot, but then he comes back with like all of his medevacs and shit stuff. I'm like, fuck, like
Yeah, he's just
there's
gonna
no
heal
way
forever,
I'm ever
yeah.
gonna I'm never gonna out DPS like the 20 medevacs that he has with his 25 Marines and his 4 tanks. Like this is over.
Mhm.
And then I looked over at chat and they're like, streamer, stop being an idiot. You outranged the Marines and the depot's literally on the edge of the
Oh,
terrain
yeah.
next to the dead space. So I was like, okay. So I start like just like moving my mouse pointer a millimeter at a time, just
Yep.
inching the Banshee forward
Yeah.
until it can finally hit the edge of the map, and it starts attacking the Marines, and the Marines can't attack. I'm like, oh my god, this like 10 HP Banshee is gonna win.
Oh, it had 10
And then-
HP left? Oh, or like
yeah,
it
because
was in the red.
while I was microing, the Banshee took a
Yeah,
bunch of damage from the
yeah.
Marines, and then I thought it was all over. I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna hit this depot." So then I hinged it forward enough so that it was attacking Marines that were standing on the depot, but the Marines couldn't attack it. And I was like, "This is it. This is it." like he can't hit me. So I just like I took my hands off the keyboard, like this is gonna happen. And then like slowly but surely all the Marines start dying, and then he just like moves everything off the depot and leaves the game when the oh no, the depot actually did die.
Mm.
But yeah, like I called out GG just before the depot died. But yeah, that was like the most intense base trade I've ever had.
Damn. Wait, hold on. Up
And
to that point, you didn't know Banshee had one more range than Marines.
like I knew in the back of my mind that they did, but the way I was
In the
microing
moment?
it, yeah, in the moment it didn't click. I was like, how is he like? Because I was like, when I was microing, I was like, how are these Marines actually hitting my Banshee at all?
Mhm.
Like I should be outranging it, but I guess like the way the Banshee paths and when he was pulling Marines back, and it's the Banshee was trying to target Marines being pulled back, and then other Marines would hit it.
Mhm.
So like at the time, it didn't really click, and then
Yeah.
again I paused for a second, like not the game, but like I just left the Banshee in the dead space. I was like, okay guys, like what do I do here? And then someone was
Oh, yeah,
like,
it's
look
chat,
at the
yeah.
range.
I need Twitch
Yeah,
chat
basically,
GM right now. This is the moment. This is your moment to shine,
this
chat.
is where I need it. Yeah, this is your moment to shine, Twitch chat. And then someone reminded me of the range. I was like, all right, so if the Banshee actually does outrange the Marine,
Mhm.
theoretically I should be able to just get it just barely close enough to hit the depot, and the Marines shouldn't be able to hit me. And then
God.
that's what happened.
And could you
Eventually, like I
like
killed like 3 Marines and then killed the depot.
could you imagine if the guy literally plays the depot 1 inch off of the edge? Yeah, it would be over because
it's
you would just
over.
put the. Oh my god, dude.
It'd be a
Just
draw.
Perfect storm.
And you know what? Just before that happened, while I was trying to find that sweet spot, the draw timer came up because he stopped trying to attack my buildings.
Mhm.
So like the draw timer comes, it was like in 60 seconds the game will end in a draw if a building isn't killed
Mhm.
or something doesn't happen. That was just before I figured it out. So had he not gone and like killed one of my buildings in that time, probably would have ended up in a draw. But
Mm.
then he killed one of my buildings to reset the timer, and then I figured it out and ended up killing his last depot. But yeah, if it was like literally 1 hex to the left, then it would have been a draw. I wouldn't have been able to hit it.
Oh man, Jesus Christ. Yeah, there's some games like that. Actually, TVT is one of the weirdest. Can cause probably one of the weirdest kind of draw stalemates because, actually, it's almost impossible to have a stalemate without a Terran in the game. Almost impossible. But like, it's mostly TVTs, even in my mind, that I remember that are like basically draws. Just crazy shit can happen like that for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm definitely, if that's on YouTube, I'm gonna watch that later. 100%.
Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel, and I think it's probably one of my most viewed clips right now was me like getting really excited about winning that game.
Nice. What was your like relationship to games growing up? Like, were you a big video gamer back when you were like a toddler? Not a toddler, but you know, young, a kid, elementary
Yeah.
school or something.
When I was younger, my parents didn't really have a ton of money for video games, so like I played sports and like played outside a lot and everything. And then I remember getting my first Super Nintendo when like PlayStation 1 had come out.
Oh yeah.
So I got a Super Nintendo and like I fell in love with Street Fighter. I would beat my younger sister at Street Fighter like 100 times a day, and like I'd force her to play Street Fighter with me so I could keep playing it. Like, here, come, let's play Street Fighter. I'll only play with my feet. And then she would get pissed off because I would beat her with my feet.
Man.
And
BM.
yeah.
Back then we didn't know though, obviously.
Back then, yeah, I had no idea. And you know, now I know. I was a dick older brother. So that was my first console, and then I got a PlayStation 1 when like PlayStation 2 came out. Because again, everything got cheaper. But I distinctly remember going to the store with my parents and getting that first PlayStation, and then like they're like, okay, you can pick out any amount of games that equals this amount of money. I think it was like, all right, you can get as many games as long as it costs less than $60 or something. So I got like all these bargain bin PlayStation 1 games. So I got like 25 PlayStation 1 games.
You were like quantity over quality.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
go.
Exactly. I'm gonna find a good game out of one of these.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so and that's actually how I found my favorite game ever, Grandia for the PlayStation 1. It's a
What is that?
Japanese RPG.
Japanese art.
So
Damn.
Yeah, there's a place in my heart for Japanese RPG, and I think with Grandia
Hmm.
that I there's definitely a nostalgia factor now, but at the time, I think it was such a well-written game and had a story that was very relatable to definitely to like a younger audience. It was meant to be like a Final Fantasy VII killer, quote unquote.
Hmm.
Obviously, Final Fantasy VII is like the most popular JRPG of all time, so it didn't really succeed in that. However,
Hmm.
I really enjoyed playing it. It had an excellent story about adventure, and I can still remember when I was picking out the game from like with all out of all the other games I picked up off the shelf, and I saw the cover with this old rustic looking shield and sword and like some gold down underneath, and it's like, wow, this looks really cool. And then something else got my attention. I can't remember what other games got my attention, but then like I never gave it a try until like months later, and then I saw that cover again. I was like, whoa, this looks really cool. Why haven't I tried this game out yet? And then uh yeah, I just absolutely fell in love with it, and now I own like four copies of it.
Oh
And
damn.
the-
What's
yeah,
the general story of the game actually?
you start off the game as a young boy, and you have this younger girlfriend, younger girlfriend, and you're like 12 years old, and you're like this little kid that wants to be an adventurer. Your father was an adventurer and discovered all these different ruins and everything, and left you this item called the Spirit Stone before. It's implied that he's dead, but you don't know for sure. So you go about causing a ruckus in town, being just like a dumb little kid, and you go on your first adventure in this place called the Salt Ruins, and you go there because uh it's rumored that military is working there on, and they're trying to find out new things in these ruins. And you get a letter of introduction because a museum curator takes a look at your spirit stone and can't tell if it's real or fake. So he's like, "Oh, well, I'll write you an intro letter. You can go to these ruins, and the military will be with you, and you can try and do some experiments yourself." And that's your first real adventure, kind of, because you go to these ruins. The military's like, "F you, kid. You're not allowed to be here." So you sneak in because you're a mischievous little adventurer, and you find out that the spirit stone you have, in fact, is real. You see these cool things in the ruins that no one else has seen, and you have this like vision where they tells you to go east to Alent to find this really, if you want to find out the secrets of this ancient civilization, this is where you have to go. So the game starts and goes there. Uh, it's if you like JRPGs, it's a very typical kind of JRPG where like you're a little kid and things spiral out of control, and then you grow up along the way, and
Oh yeah.
it's a very heartwarming story more than anything. It's not like if you look at say like Final Fantasy 7 or a lot of the Final Fantasy series, there's a lot of like uh edgy and like kind of dark twists and turns in a lot of those games. Not so much with Grandia. It's more of an uplifting and kind of like has more of a happy feel to it than a lot of the characters in the Final Fantasy series. So if you like JRPGs, I highly recommend it. It's really fun. And fun fact, I didn't find this out until like a few months ago. Sal's favorite game of all time, also Grandia.
Oh, what?
I've been bugging him a lot to play it on stream.
Hell yeah, dude.
So
That sounds like
one of
it
these
just sounds
days,
like a game where you just every single turn you find and explore and discover new shit. I mean, that seems like to be the whole point of the thing, right? Is that you find these ruins, you explore, you have wait, is it a spirit stone is what you said or an orb?
yeah,
Yeah. And that's
it's called the Spirit Stone.
yeah, that's basically like what's guiding you through every single thing in the
Yeah,
story. And then you just keep finding new shit. Um
yeah, it's really cool. And fun fact with my on my Twitch account, or I guess on my Twitch roles or whatever, I guess the what is it, the rewards? If you like with the bits or whatever, the bit badges I have are all icons from that game. A couple of my
oh.
emotes are characters from the game. Like I think it's the thinking emote that I've got is the character's face from Grandia when he's,
Oh.
or one of the characters when he's like thinking. So I thought that was a pretty good emote to throw on Twitch. So
Mm.
yeah, that's where I got some of my emotes from and my bits rewards from. Was yeah, my favorite game.
Grandia, nice. And
Yeah.
so, talked a little bit about the past. Let's talk a little bit of the future as well, just to kind of close things out. How do you see like StarCraft or RTS in the future? And what would you personally, in a perfect world, in Misery's fantasy future world of StarCraft, what would that look like?
What would Misery's future of StarCraft look like? Wow, That's a tough one. So the future of StarCraft already is very bright, I would say, with the introduction of the ESL Pro Tour, basically taking the initiative to say, "Hey, we're gonna throw 3 years of StarCraft content down your throat." That's happening. There is 3 years of professional StarCraft for sure. So I don't think we've ever had that before. Usually, I think with WCS, it's always been like year to year, and you always have that little bit of time after BlizzCon where like, oh, GSL hasn't been announced yet, WCS hasn't been announced yet, and everyone kind of gets into like a mini panic until finally like everyone like drops a huge sigh of relief, like, oh, okay, the next GSL is coming.
Mm,
Oh, okay, our esport is still alive, like,
mhm,
and it's really nice right now and in the future not having to worry about that, knowing that we have all these guys working on continuing to keep StarCraft alive and to have it flourishing even for like to have that 3 year commitment from ESL is insane. That's so awesome. And to my knowledge, you can correct me if I'm not wrong, but I don't think StarCraft has ever had like that kind of a commitment. It's always I'm pretty sure it's always been year to year. So that's
mm,
really cool about the current future
mhm.
of StarCraft. As far as what Misery's perfect StarCraft world would be, um,
Not just like in the scene, but maybe with the game too. Who knows?
oh yeah, I'm including that here in my answer.
Hmm.
So the disruptor does not exist.
Wow.
Um, Zerg, probably the queen doesn't exist either. Um, you have about 10 to 15 years of no matter what StarCraft content, similar to what ESL is doing,
Hmm.
so that I can just ride off into the sunset and just keep playing StarCraft for the next 10 to 15 years and not have to worry about disruptors or queen range killing me. Maybe the marine or the tank gets a nice buff where the
Let's
tank just
let's
like
dig a little
instant
deeper.
pieces.
Why do you want to remove the disruptor and the queen? What gameplay are you looking for by like removing those? For if we dig like a little bit deeper here.
We dig a little bit deeper. I was trying to joke around a little bit, but the disruptor, in my opinion, is not a fun unit. Now,
Mhm,
watching Nina use them over the weekend and during the week of the tournament
mhm,
was a different thing. It was very fun for me to watch someone else, not me, get destroyed by disruptors. But when I play against Stark and Disruptor on the ladder, I want the entire time is just full anxiety through the roof. I
mm.
don't want to be there, and it's just not a good time for me. And I feel for Disc because in that game on Golden Wall,
Mm,
man, you didn't deserve that to happen to you.
mhm.
Those disruptor shots that Nina was throwing out was like I wanted Disc to win that game so bad, but then the disruptors were so good. And
Mhm.
I just it's such a good comeback unit when you're behind, and I always find ways to throw against it, but that's just me at 4800. Obviously, pros are a little bit better at dealing
Mm.
with that.
So there seems to be a big disconnect. Now I've been thinking about this pretty recently too, but basically, the disruptor is really fun to watch, really not fun to play against. And I think StarCraft 2's biggest flaw, and this is like if it fixes this, it would be greatest game of all time. But the ultimate balance that we're trying to get, and it's not just balance in game wise, but the hardest balance to achieve in any game actually is to have something as fun to watch as it is to play. That is the hardest balance to make, in my opinion, because something that's fun to watch is most of the time really annoying to play against.
Yeah, the
That's
same can be said with maps too, right? Like
mhm,
fun to watch. Golden Wall is so fun to watch. Now I'll disagree with everyone. I love to play on Golden Wall, but
mhm,
the consensus I'm pretty sure is that everybody hates playing on Golden Wall, but it produces some pretty cool
yeah.
games, which I can partially agree with. But I really enjoy playing on Golden Wall, even when I lose to some of these weird openings or different kind of cheeses that some players will use.
Mhm.
Like I still don't get upset when it happens. Like I recently had a Zerg mine out my back rocks and Zergling flood me, and
Nice.
it was a very good play from that player. Like I had no idea it was coming. It was pretty cool, and it wouldn't work on any other map. But does that mean I now all of a sudden I hate Golden Wall because that happened to
No,
me?
yeah.
No, it's cool. I like the variety.
I think Golden One is a very soon to be, I think, historic map in terms of how we view maps now, because that map, for how weird it is, it's not, I wouldn't say it's unbalanced, or I wouldn't say it is balanced, but it is like a concept that's pulled off almost perfectly. Like the split map from up to down where normally the map is supposed to be left to right, but it can be split up and down. No other map has ever managed to achieve like that kind of gameplay through map making. That's unbelievable to me. Yeah,
Yeah,
that map
I
is
agree with
insane.
you.
Is actually insane. And you keep discovering stuff too. Like I'm actually thinking about this. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. But you know how the back rocks, the back minerals are 25 minerals each.
Yeah,
Do you know how much a mule mines in one shot?
25.
30. No.
Is it 30? Okay,
Pretty sure
maybe
it's 30.
it's.
But anyway,
Okay.
it's more than 25, right?
I know it's enough to do it once because I've done a tank push where I call mule down on both sides and
Yeah.
then push up top.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about like what happens if I like just make 6, I normal back mine out my back, and then just before I go in, I like clear an overlord with a Viking, and then I call down like a mule or two. I mean 2 mules, yeah. Mine out the back and then run in with like 10 Hellions. I was like, maybe, I don't know. There's so much stuff to discover with that game and like how you want to go about it that it's just so interesting.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just to go back to like the question of I guess the future of StarCraft, I think we can all agree that like one of the biggest goals that StarCraft needs to reach by removing Disruptor is just getting to a state where it's as fun to watch as it is to play, and that's really hard in my opinion. But,
I can agree. It's definitely hard. Yeah, because like you said, what's fun to watch isn't necessarily fun to play against because you see those big splash plays with a disruptor, and you know that the other person who just took the damage is like, God, I fucking hate this unit. You know, they might not say it out loud, but they say it in their head. It's in the back of their mind, like,
mm,
if I was looking at my army for half a second longer, I don't lose half of it to a couple disruptor shots.
yeah,
Fuck me, right?
and carrier, cannon, shield battery, really fun to play, really bad, not fun to play against or to watch, to be honest. So there's a big balance thing there. That's in my opinion, it's probably StarCraft's biggest flaw. Is it's what is fun to play isn't necessarily fun to watch / play against. That's
Yeah.
probably the roughest thing. But yeah, I guess by removing disruptors and stuff that are just generally really overpowered. Not overpowered, but really
That's-
bursty. And in that type of the design, I guess would head to a future of a game where it's more fun to play in a way, I guess.
Yeah, that's Misery's perfect world too. That's
Just
take it with a grain of
yeah.
salt. Misery's perfect world is disruptor free. Because
Actually,
every time I see that Nova,
let's
I hear
let's
Fortnite
rephrase
song.
that. Let's rephrase that. Misery's perfect world is where every game is enjoyable of StarCraft. How about
Exactly.
that? How about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can
There
say
you
that.
go. There you go. Well, I think we're gonna pretty much end on that note. So thank you so much, Misery, for coming on the podcast. Lovely to have you. Actually, even from this conversation, I'm like thinking, should I ever do like a 2-parter with people, like have them on like 100 episodes later? I don't know, because I feel like there's always so much to talk about. Technically, we're gonna go on forever, really, but
Oh yeah.
we have to finish eventually.
Yeah, that's totally fine. You know what? I'd be more than happy to come back.
Actually,
but
there's a
I do
different.
appreciate being
There
here.
might be a slightly different note I would actually like to end on, but like, so you've actually recently have had your goal of like of 5K, right? I think that's like your main goal, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, that's my main goal. I have yet to reach it. I'm getting close. I'm
Mhm.
at 4850 right now
Yeah.
on my main account.
What are your
so
general
I'm-
goals, I guess, in terms of either StarCraft or streaming? Is there anything like that you want to reach eventually in your
Well,
StarCraft?
StarCraft,
lifetime?
I definitely want to hit 5K. That's what I'm really pushing for, and I would love to do that on stream. I'm really trying to do that on stream. I even, I made a little mini challenge. I don't know if you want to call it mini challenge, but I made like a tattoo bet basically where, that's a whole different story. The other tattoo bet I made, but the idea is I'm gonna get 5K before December 31st, and if I don't, I'm getting a Protoss tattoo. So
Okay, got it.
the stakes are high. I'm gonna get 5K, so it's only June. I got lots of time left. I think I made this bet with myself, I want to say like 2 months ago, and my play has gotten a little bit better. There's a hashtag Terran patch right now, so hopefully we hit 5K in the next week or two, and I never have to worry about that again. But goals with that's kind of the StarCraft goal right now. Goals with streaming, I mean, that's kind of a broad thing. Obviously, I would love to see the stream get bigger and do well. If it doesn't, I mean, it is still a hobby of mine. I do it on my days off from work, so it's hard to kind of keep doing that as much as I mean, it's difficult to continue streaming and working more than full-time hours. So I mean, we'll just kind of see where it goes. As of right now, it's a hobby. If it, somehow one of these days blows up and does really well, awesome. If I could continue doing that and put more content up, that would be really great. I would love to keep doing that. I was doing a YouTube series for a little while, which I kind of took a break from because I was doing this tournament. I'll
Hmm.
probably get back to doing that in the next week or two. But yeah, it's been a fun ride this last I want to say a year or two of coming back to streaming because I definitely took a solid 3 year break or so,
Hmm.
and it's been a really good time.
Sounds awesome, dude. Well, thanks for coming on once again, and I'll see you around either on the ladder or on your stream or wherever we meet in the future.
Oh yeah, I'll see you around, man. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, see you. Thanks.